Jacques Reland joins us now from Paris. He's a senior research fellow at the Global Policy Institute. Jacques, thank you very much for your time. So how was it decided then that the state of emergency was only having a limited impact?
One striking example of the limited impact of the state emergency involving the presence of army units in the streets of Paris is that night there was an army unit close to the Bataclan, and when the police wanted to come into the Bataclan and intervene, they realized they only had handguns and wanted to borrow the machine guns of the police, of the army, and were not able to because they did not have orders. And at the same time, the army has guns, has machine guns, but they can only use it in the case of legitimate defense or whether they had specific orders, and they did not have one. So it highlights the really bad coordination there were between intervention forces, within the police, between the national police and within the gendarmerie, and between the police and the army. That's one of the problems at the level of intervention. And this report also highlights the failure, the lack of coordination at intelligence level.
On that issue, the report is urging that a system similar to the US National Counterterrorism Centre be set up. How big a shift would that be from France's current model? What changes would we see?
It will be a big change in French intelligence culture. Right now, we have 6 different agencies belonging to different services, some belonging to the army, some to the foreign office, some to the police, some to the gendarmerie, which is a police unit within the army, and another one too. So it would be the main point would be to try to coordinate, because one thing which is striking is that all the French attackers were known to the French authorities, all of them, and some of them were no longer under surveillance, even though it was known they were radicalized. One example is Mr. Kouachi, who led the Charlie Hebdo attack, and in the Charlie Hebdo attack, he had been under surveillance before when he was resident in Paris. Then he moved to the provinces, to a town called Reims, and they stopped the surveillance. So it highlights the problem. So definitely, at first, there must be a common database which all intelligence services must be able to access. And they hope that the creation of a national agency to fight terrorism, like the US as set up after 9/11, would help solve the problem. But it's not a foolproof method, because as we saw in America not long ago, in Orlando, there was an attack which was not spotted, even though the man was suspected.
Yeah, Jacques, I just wanted to ask you finally, there have been a number of protests in France over recent months over the labour law reforms. Now, there are some critics who are saying that the state of emergency is being used to clamp down on protesters. Do you think there's any merit in those claims?
No, I don't think there's any merit on that. The only time where they decided they might want to forbid a demonstration, which was 2 weeks ago, it was because the police forces were stretched because of the Euro campaign. At the time, there was problem with hooligans, Russian and English hooligans, which stretched the police force, and they wanted the demonstration to remain in one spot and not to walk along the streets. But it's true that there's been a combination of factors which have put the French police forces under great stress. The demonstrations, and they've been very violent, Euro, and also the prevention of terrorism, because it was feared that there would be terrorist attacks during this Euro, which is a high-profile event. And up to now, touch wood, things seem to have, there's not been any terrorist program yet. So that's, up to now, it's a great satisfaction. We have a week to go, and let's hope that that truce lasts until either for not just until Sunday, but for long after.
Yeah, Jacques, thank you very much for your time. As always, much appreciated.